Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So, with this new update, actually has a different side quest of sorts. If you go back to Akane and head to the Nari Plateau, you'll come across the Itto-Ryu Dojo, and that's the dojo that Shigure as well as Shion, both in the AS forms as well as the regular forms, belong to. And I believe that AS Akane is also an honorary member of this dojo. Anyways, if you press on the exclamation mark to the head of the dojo, you'll be able to start a side quest of sorts where you'll be able to do a series of two relatively challenging fights in order to earn two different pieces of treasure. One is a special sword for for Aldo, and one is a sound body katana grasta, which I believe increases their basically their stats. So I haven't played around with those yet, but however, this video should show you some strategies needed to fight both these fights. I will say that the first fight is more of a introduction to the kind of the mechanics. The second fight is definitely a little bit more challenging, and I highly recommend having some prep work ahead of time. Otherwise, you can get wiped out. I did have to try once or twice just ahead of time, before recording this for you. Note that Shion as well as AS Akane do use fire attacks, and Shigure, of course, with his AS form, use water attacks. So make sure you bring a team that can counter fire as well as water, either through magical type shields or maybe water resist or fire resist. In this case, being that they're both physical users, I decided to go with an all magic team with Magic Zone featuring AS Rosetta. Hopefully this should have some mitigation. I do find Magic Team is actually the most versatile and, in my opinion, the best weapon type zone. You generally have at least one or more healers, one or more type shield. You also have a lot of support either with regen, healing, and so on and so forth. And so you can see I'm just playing it safe. We have debuffs applied by Spiritual Utterance with AS Tuva. We're putting two shields with AS Clark as well as Earthwall by AS Myers, and then of course we are putting we can use Prayer of Judgment to give ourselves some resistance to physical attacks through AS Rosetta. Not only that, but don't forget that Magic Zone actually reduces physical attacks both from Pierce as well as other weapon types by 30%. So you have a lot of shields, and with all those in play, you only take a small amount of damage. Now note, this is only the first of the second two fights, so this isn't meant to be extremely challenging. This particular fight, I don't, shouldn't have too much trouble with. You can clearly see that there's no HP stoppers. You can just blow them out of the water. And if you're thinking about, you do still have to watch out for that, because you can see the single slash can still take over 1500. Other than that, a few million HP down. Didn't even have to use the AF bar. A couple of AoEs should take care of things, and there you have it. Not too bad at all. So let me know in the comments below if you've taken this on. How did you find the fight? I did definitely like the storyline and the engagement with us, and how Aldo's been training really hard, and as a result of winning this first fight, you actually get a sword specifically for Aldo, where he becomes an official disciple of the Itto-Ryu, and based on that, he gets a special sword that basically teaches him both signature moves of Shigure as well as Shion. Now, I haven't tried them out yet, but still, having ability to use fire and water should be interesting, and I'm hoping to feature that in a future video when I finally review Aldo as a 5-star upgraded after he finishes this main story. Unfortunately, I'm still quite far behind, being that there's a lot of content to go through, so I do apologize for that in advance, and I'm hoping that you'll be patient with me as I slowly grind through all the different content and put together videos for all of you. And I'm hoping you're enjoying the content that I'm making for you so far. I'm having a blast doing these particular quests, as well as all the myriad of different content in this Goddess of Time conclusion. Alright, so after you beat it the first time, you can just walk away, Or you can press the exclamation mark again to talk to the head of the clan. And now Shion and Shigure are going to be all serious now, and it's going to be a little bit more challenging here. So again, you're going to take both of them on. In this case, they actually have 2 HP stoppers, so be very aware of that. Again, I highly recommend using a magic team, although I didn't really try anything else, being that was the first thing that came to my mind when taking on fights that are all physical in nature. You have magical attacks. You can even use something like mana, for example. Mana would have, you can use, I believe, is it... can't remember if it's Mistopheles or Queen of Hearts, one that does power down 35 while giving int up 35. So you can even power up your mages, additionally using some debuff like that if you need a debuffer and you don't have AS2. And of course, you can just rotate in, another magic member on your team, or just equip, some sort of Grasta or weapon that allows mana to participate in the magic AF using pseudo spell or something along those lines. So, as long as you have half bar AF, you can probably do a 2 or 3 turn AF setup. With Days Array applying multiple type resist debuffs, you have auto crit from Sanctuary, Meryl's Manifest. You should have no problem surviving and bringing it down to the half HP mark. I would still recommend making sure you apply definitely power debuffs on the enemies, as well as making sure your type shields, and if you have physical shields, even better. Remember that again, mana does have practical, which gives you a 35% physical resistance as well, if you'd like to use that on your team. I'm sure there are other ways as well. That one's the one that comes to mind. So again, we're just using AS Clark's Earth move. Don't forget, gives water resist to your entire team, 35%, 70% if it is of the West, which is AS Rosetta. Otherwise, we're using the Spiritual Utterance again to apply dual debuff, and then we're just going to attack over and over again until she hits her HP stopper, and then you'll see what happens there. So if you can, try to build up an entire half bar AF during this part of the fight, because more to come. And so you can see I'm just kind of applying a lot of shielding to myself, just slowly building up the bar and being patient with it, because at the end of the day, this is only one enemy. Not too much damage, especially given multiple Aurora Forces and other type shields. Restablishment from AS Clark also gives an additional shield that's, although with the law of diminishing returns, is less effective than usual, still can stack with Aurora Force for additional defense. So you can see we are saving our AF bar. Just another couple of hits and we should be bringing AS Akane to the half mark. So I also did not activate Lunatic just yet, because Lunatic, of course, with AS Clark only lasts 3 turns. And so, at this point, since we brought AS Akane to 50%, note that her 2 older disciples, one of which is her brother, has come out, both in their AS form. So we've got AS Shion. I believe he has a counter for physical attacks once he does a move, and you'll see the counter in this very next turn, in which case if you do bring a physical team, you might get countered, and that could be deadly very, very quickly. AS Shigure, obviously, is going to be a little bit more powerful as well. You can see that with a couple of hits, we already brought them down to quarter mark. Again, make sure your shields are up, make sure Prayer of Judgment for physical resist, you have your type resist, hopefully regen or some sort of other shielding, and they essentially counter with an AF right at the 25% mark. So note that we took very little damage only because of all the type shields. In my previous encounters, when I did try this 1 or 2 additional times, I actually had AS Myris up front instead of Meryl, and it was not enough to debuff to shield everything, and so actually 3/4 of my team died on that turn. So be very aware that that can kill you. Other than that, after that we can just use a couple of AoEs and the fight is over. So if you're having some tough times, hopefully you can experiment with some of these strategies. Magic Zone, like I said, is probably easiest, although I would imagine something like Pierce Zone will probably be pretty easy. 2 of the members, of course, are fire based, so if you use counter to fire, that would help as well. I think that's pretty much it. Other than that, there's a little bit more family antics. The head of the family, which is the head of the clan, comes out and talks to you a little bit more. And after all this, you do get a second prize, which is the Grasta, as well as a small bronze badge and a few chronostones as well. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.